Envision being at the epicenter of a tempest. While turmoil, fury, strife, and unpredictability rage around you, an absolute tranquility resides within, so profound that no external force can disrupt it. What if you could bring that serenity to every altercation? What if your mere presence could command peace? Not through a desire for dominance, but through achieving self-mastery. Today we embark on a profound exploration into the mentality and cultivated skill of Miyamoto Musashi, one of history's most celebrated warriors. His legacy transcends centuries, renowned not just for his victories, but for the philosophy he embodied. This discussion extends beyond mere swordsmanship. It delves into the deeper, intrinsic battles we all encounter, those that are emotional and psychological. It examines how you can sustain composure in any confrontation and how that calmness can become your ultimate asset. By the conclusion of this journey, you will gain timeless wisdom and practical insights. In our final segment, we will reveal the most impactful lesson of all, one with the potential to fundamentally transform how you approach conflict for the rest of your life. So, take a breath, center yourself. What you are about to absorb might just alter your perspective on living. Let's begin. Miyamoto Musashi did not inherit greatness, he forged it. Born in 1584 in Japan, a period marked by civil war and incessant fighting, Musashi engaged in his inaugural duel at age 13 and emerged victorious. This, however, was merely the beginning. Throughout his lifetime, he participated in more than 60 duels, remaining undefeated. Yet, he spoke of success differently from others. He did not glorify the blade. Instead, he emphasized strategy, presence, and unwavering stillness amidst battle. Musashi's invincibility stemmed not solely from his technical prowess, but from his mental fortitude. His steadfast refusal to be unnerved, his disciplined capacity to remain grounded regardless of the challenges before him, and his recognition that the true battlefield lies within. Take a moment to reflect. How do you react when provoked? When someone challenges you, questions your worth, or incites disorder, do you tense up? Do you feel compelled to react instantly? Or can you pause, inhale, and gain clarity? Musashi penned, "You must grasp that there are multiple routes to the summit of the mountain." This isn't just about combat, it's about viewpoint. It's about understanding that every confrontation is not merely something to win or lose, but an opportunity for deeper self-discovery. To identify where your ego still reacts, where your fears still hold sway. He frequently highlighted the concept of feudal, the unmoving mind, a state of inner composure and resolve, impervious to external occurrences. In our contemporary world, this teaching is more pertinent than ever. We are ceaselessly bombarded by clamor, critique, opinions, disputes, and crises. But how many of these truly warrant a reaction, and how many simply demand our calm? Envision how your life might transform if you cultivated your mind with the same rigor a warrior dedicates to his body. What if every confrontation at work, in relationships, or even within yourself were met not with panic, but with focused presence? What if the tranquility residing within you could dissipate the turmoil surrounding you? Musashi understood this implicitly. In his duels, he frequently arrived late, not out of disrespect, but to gauge his opponent's emotional state. He comprehended that the ultimate triumph was psychological. He recognized that eliciting emotion was among the most potent methods to create vulnerability in an adversary. However, the greatest mastery lay in never being provoked yourself. There is an account of his duel with Sasaki Kojirō, one of the era's most formidable swordsmen. Musashi appeared hours late, armed only with a wooden sword he had fashioned from an oar. Kojirō, incensed by the delay and Musashi's composure, lost his self-command. Musashi triumphed not merely through skill, but through superior mental discipline. He had already secured victory before the actual combat commenced. This brings us to a crucial question. How often do we lose the battle before it even begins, simply by relinquishing our inner calm? Musashi's teachings extend far beyond the battlefield. They resonate with anyone who has confronted fear, criticism, or adversity, with all of us who wish we could remain steadfast amidst life's storms. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi advises, quote, 1. What is the implication here? It means cultivating the ability to discern more profound truths. It involves mastering not just what is evident, the words, the actions, the appearances, but also what lies beneath, intent, energy, and concealed patterns. Reflect on your daily existence, the conflicts you encounter. Are you examining beneath the surface? Are you reacting to spoken words or sensing the underlying cause? Are you responding to aggression with aggression, or are you creating space for clarity to emerge? Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Viktor Frankl, the renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once stated, quote, _2___. Musashi inhabited that space. He weaponized it. You can. 2. For calm is not a passive state. It is not fragility. It is the keenest of blades. It is the tranquility that grants you clarity when others are clouded by strong feelings. Consider, when was the last time you confronted a challenge and chose composure over an impulsive reaction? What did that reveal about your character? And more significantly, what impact would it have on your life if that became your automatic response? This is merely the beginning. The path followed by Musashi cannot be traversed quickly. However, as we proceed, you will uncover methods to integrate these ancient principles into your daily existence, influencing your choices, your mindset, your relationships, and your journey toward self-mastery. In the next segment, we will explore Musashi's strategic intellect in greater depth, examining how he employed perception, deception, and rigorous self-control to overcome not only his adversaries, but also himself. We will also start to investigate how you can implement these very tactics in your everyday sphere, even when not wielding a weapon. Allow this initial insight to sink in. Ponder it. Ask yourself what kind of combatant you are evolving into. Not on a battlefield, but within the realm of life. Are you prepared to delve deeper? In every conflict, there's a particular instant when time appears to decelerate, a single heartbeat extending into timelessness. During this moment, most individuals recoil. They hurry to respond, to guard their ego, to safeguard their image. But the individual who is trained in the manner of Musashi, he acts only with intent. He speaks only with authority. His serenity is not a lack of sound, it is supremacy. Musashi's brilliance extended beyond combat. It was profoundly rooted in his perception. He discerned what others missed. He cultivated the ability to look past the blade itself, to peer into his opponent's intentions, not just their stance. This acute level of awareness wasn't innate. It was forged through discipline. It stemmed from understanding that true advantage in any confrontation lies in heightened awareness. In his seminal work, The Book of Five Rings, he penned, "You should not favor one weapon above others. Becoming overly accustomed to a single weapon is as detrimental as not being proficient with it." This wisdom transcends weaponry. It speaks to adaptability. Rigidity is a vulnerability. When you possess only one approach, you become foreseeable, and what is predictable can be vanquished. Reflect on this. How many of us navigate life adhering to a singular strategy, a rigid perspective? When strife emerges, we resort to anger. When criticized, we withdraw. When challenged, we become defensive. Musashi instructs us to be as fluid as water, persistently adjusting, ever discerning, never rigid. This constitutes a profound principle in both philosophy and psychology. Bruce Lee echoed this sentiment centuries later. Be like water, my friend. Moreover, modern cognitive science supports this concept. Cognitive flexibility, emotional intelligence, and mental adaptability are significant indicators of resilience and achievement. Musashi's training encompassed not only weapons, but also calligraphy, painting, and sculpture. Why? because he comprehended that genuine mastery of the mind necessitates exposure to diverse viewpoints. He desired not merely to learn how to prevail, but to grasp the fundamental nature of things. He pursued truth in all its manifestations, and this also rendered him formidable, not solely due to the sword he wielded, but because of the intellect behind it. Let's examine another of his essential tenets. __quote _6 __. This solitary statement dismantles the ego. It cultivates humility. It implores you to distance yourself from your personal struggles, your individual desires, and to apprehend the broader context. The world is intricate. People are multifaceted. Every disagreement has a history. Every adversary possesses a narrative. Imagine approaching your subsequent conflict not with the aspiration to triumph, but with the aspiration to comprehend, not to conquer, but to perceive. How would that transform your existence? This is not a weakness, it is an evolved power. It is the power of presence, of perspective. It enables you to remain steadfast when others are provoked. It affords you the space to make judicious choices while others are trapped in reactivity. Musashi once stated, quote 7, that single one is oneself. Every confrontation, every relationship, every struggle, whether internal or external, originates and concludes with you. The more intimately you know yourself, the fewer conflicts you will need to engage in, because self-awareness allows you to discern when a dispute is superfluous. When a word holds more potency than a sword, when silence conveys more than any clamor ever could, let us pause and contemplate. How profoundly do you understand yourself when confronted? Do you observe your responses, or are you consumed by them? Can you detach from your own emotions and scrutinize them without judgment? This capacity for self-observation is what contemporary psychologists term metacognition. It forms the bedrock of emotional intelligence. Musashi practiced this centuries ago through rigorous introspection, solitude, and disciplined examination of his own thoughts. In his later years, he retreated from society, not to escape, but to intensify this inward exploration, to strip away all illusions, to gaze inward without distraction. He recognized that the most challenging opponent is not another warrior, but the undisciplined self. We are perpetually engaged in skirmishes, not with bladed weapons, but with apprehension, indecision, impatience, and insecurity. During these confrontations, composure itself becomes a formidable tool. The tranquility of a composed intellect effortlessly pierces through turmoil, akin to the sharpest edge. Therefore, I pose the question once more. Envision your existence if you cultivated your mind with the rigor of Musashi. What if every encounter served as a looking glass, revealing where your reactions persist, where apprehension still clutches you, where you still strive for control? Let us delve deeper. Musashi was a master of illusion, not for manipulation, but for tactical advantage. He often deployed unorthodox tactics to confound his adversary's expectations. He might abruptly switch hands mid-engagement, wield an exceptionally large sword, or alter his attack's tempo. The rationale? Confusion breeds hesitation, and hesitation provides an opening for victory. Psychologically speaking, this involves dismantling ingrained patterns. All of us operate within patterns, habits, thoughts, assumptions. When someone disrupts our pattern, we become susceptible. Musashi grasped this concept. He exploited it. Yet, crucially, he conditioned himself to be immune to such vulnerability. He welcomed uncertainty. He found comfort in the indeterminate, which afforded him liberation. So, reflect. What are the cyclical habits that ensnare you? Do you consistently react identically when criticized? Do you habitually attempt to exert control when fear arises? What if, emulating Musashi, you learn to act without attachment to a predefined method? This leads us to one of his most profound lessons. Mastery is attained through consistent practice. You do not achieve tranquility in conflict merely by desiring it. You cultivate it through training. You engage in practice. You encounter setbacks, you introspect, and then you persevere, repeatedly, until serenity becomes ingrained in your character, until confrontation no longer unsettles you, until you recognize that the majority of life's conflicts do not necessitate a fight. Instead, they demand comprehension. And comprehension is rooted in quietude. As we progress, we will explore the core of Musashi's concluding writings, examining his perspectives on mortality, detachment, and his lasting impression. Within these teachings, we will unearth the ultimate principle that distinguished his life with wisdom and empowered him to confront any challenge, any apprehension, even the cessation of life itself, with peace. The paramount struggle is not with the external world, it is an internal one. Are you prepared to embrace that challenge? There arrives a juncture in every warrior's journey where external adversaries recede, and the sole authentic battle remaining is internal. Here, Musashi's wisdom attains its most profound clarity. He was not merely a tactician of the sword, he was a strategist of the spirit. As his life drew to a close, Musashi retreated to a cavern named Rei Gondo, embracing solitude with only writing implements and his thoughts. There, he composed his final manuscript, Go-Rin no Sho, or The Book of Five Rings. This is not a treatise on combat, but a moral code for living. 21 precepts, each a shard of truth forged through experience, loss, introspection, and transcendence. In this section, we will analyze some of the most influential among them and their relevance, not exclusively to warriors, but to anyone seeking clarity amidst life's complexities. He commences simply, accept everything just the way it is. This is a radical notion. Acceptance, not as capitulation, but as clear-sightedness. Musashi understood that resistance to reality engenders suffering, and that endeavors to mold the world to one's desires without first perceiving it accurately are a recipe for self-deception. When you accept, you cease squandering energy on denial. You begin to act with precision. You start to see things as they genuinely are, not as your ego wishes them to be. This resonates with the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who stated, quote, 9. It is not yielding, it is strategic. Acceptance marks the initial stride toward mastery. Without it, your energy is fragmented. With it, your concentration becomes unyielding. Another impactful tenet from the Dohigawa is, quote, 10. At first reading, this seems austere, but Musashi is not dismissing emotion. He is issuing a caution against being subjugated by it. When infatuation, desire, or any potent emotion compromises judgment, the warrior falters. Musashi viewed this not as a rejection of interpersonal connection, but as the safeguarding of mental acuity. You can experience profound feelings and yet maintain internal equilibrium. You can care deeply and still act sagaciously. This is not disengagement from existence, it is mastery within it. He further writes, quote, 11. Consider this. How much time is squandered in grievances? How much vitality is depleted by resentment? These emotions might feel justified, yet they serve no higher purpose. They obscure judgment, vitiate relationships, and divert from purposeful action. Musashi reminds us that bearing such emotional burdens dulls one's own capabilities. Releasing them is not a sign of weakness, it is a refinement. Now let us pause and reflect upon one of the most empowering statements within the entire text. In all things, have no preferences. This principle does not advocate for apathy, it signifies liberation. When you possess no fixed inclinations, you are unconstrained. You readily respond to what circumstances demand, rather than being driven by personal desires. You maintain flexibility, staying adaptable. When you cease clinging, you simultaneously cease suffering. This resonates strongly with Buddhist philosophy, which pinpoints attachment as the primary source of suffering. Musashi discovered this identical truth through his martial practice. A fighter who adheres rigidly to a single method, a particular style, a solitary approach, is destined to fail. Conversely, An individual who releases preconceived notions, who adjusts, who flows effortlessly like water, becomes impossible to capture. Consider how your existence might transform if you harbored no fixed preferences. This isn't about eliminating all aspirations, but rather about preventing them from controlling you. Could you endure rejection without resentment? Could you experience defeat without losing your sense of self? Could you abandon comfort and still feel complete? These inquiries lie at the core of Musashi's philosophy, a life built on internal fortitude, grounded in detachment, discipline, and profound insight. Another of his ultimate lessons advises, revere Buddha and the gods without relying on their aid. This speaks to spiritual independence, respect without reliance. Musashi did not dismiss the divine, but he firmly believed that strength must originate from within. Do not await salvation. Do not externalize your power. Believe if you choose, but act as though everything depends on you. This is because in every conflict, in every moment requiring a decision, it precisely does. He concludes with a powerful statement. Never deviate from the path. What constitutes this path? It is your specific journey, your core principles, your distinct awareness, your truth. The path isn't a singular route, it's a state of being, a mental and spiritual presence that remains unwavering regardless of where life leads. Here lies a pivotal aspect of Musashi's instruction. Tranquility isn't the primary objective, it is an outcome. It arises from living in harmony with truth, meticulously training your mind, understanding your fundamental nature, and consciously opting for clarity over disorder. This inner calm enables you to confront insults with silence, to navigate chaos with poise, and to enter confrontations while retaining peace. Now, reflect on your own life. Where do you find yourself holding on tightly? Where are your reactions impulsive? Where are you complaining instead of refining yourself? Each day presents an opportunity for training, not with weaponry, but with your thoughts, your words, your decisions. Every conflict acts as a mirror. Every emotion serves as an instructor. And every peaceful moment represents a triumph, not over others, but over your own self. This journey isn't about becoming emotionally distant. It's about achieving lucidity. It's not about rejecting emotions, but about mastering them. It's not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with unshakable composure. You don't need to retreat to a secluded place to follow Musashi's teachings. You simply need to begin observing, contemplating, asking deeper questions, and cultivating serenity in small instances, so that when major difficulties arise, you are already prepared. And here we approach the final and most profound principle, one that we will explore in the concluding section of this exploration. A truth that transcends all others. One that has the power to transform your perspective on death, fear, conflict, and your very purpose. If you have progressed this far, it signifies that something within you is awakening. A deeper resilience, a summons toward mastery. And now, the ultimate insight awaits. There exists a profound stillness accessible only at the precipice of existence and demise. A truth that emerges not amidst the clamor of daily struggles, but within the silence of surrender. This is how Miyamoto Musashi lived his final days. Not as a warrior desperately clinging to power or victory, but as a man who had transcended both. In the cave of Reigondo, confronting his end, Musashi felt no fear. He did not tremble. He did not grieve what was fading. Because long before death approached him, he had already prepared. He had already shed illusion, ego, and the longing for comfort or praise, leaving behind an unyielding essence. This, above all, embodies the core of his composure in every encounter. The final and most compelling principle Musashi imparted to us is not found in sword techniques or military tactics. It resides in non-attachment to life itself, not a rejection of life, but liberation from the apprehension of losing it. Because the dread of death is the origin of all other fears, and when you overcome this, When you can confront your own end with clear vision and a steady resolve, then nothing else can control you. No insult, no failure, no rejection, no loss can perturb you. You become impervious to fear, and that is the highest form of freedom. Musashi penned in his ultimate precept, ___quote _15____. It appears deceptively straightforward, yet how many of our choices are dictated by the fear of loss, the fear of judgment, the fear of solitude, or the fear of not accomplishing enough before time expires? Musashi's wisdom teaches that to walk __quote_16__ is to walk with death as a constant companion, not as a menace, but as an ally that keeps you honest, focused, and alert. This echoes Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, quote, 17. In essence, death is not your adversary. It is a profound reminder. The samurai referred to this concept as __quote_18____. Its essence was to live in such a manner that if one's final moment arrived tomorrow, there would be no grievances, having fully embraced life with purpose and attentiveness, free from attachment to what cannot be retained. This reveals the most profound lesson. Serenity amidst conflict isn't the absence of feeling, it's the absence of dread. When the loss of reputation no longer evokes fear, there's no rush to defend one's ego. When silence ceases to be frightening, meaningless words don't fill the void. When uncertainty is no longer dreaded, there's no attempt to control every outcome. And when the fear of demise dissipates, a life of true courage can begin. This journey is arduous, demanding unwavering self-scrutiny, solitude, discipline, and absolute candor. Yet Musashi exemplifies that this path is accessible not only to spiritual recluses or warriors, but to any individual prioritizing truth over comfort. So how does this process commence? Initially, by honing our perceptiveness. Observe your reactions, not solely to major confrontations, but also to minor annoyances. Do you instinctively speak defensively or to justify yourself? This is where your cultivation starts. Learn to pause. Learn to observe. Allow a moment of calm between stimulus and reaction. Secondly, by simplifying your emotional connections. What are you holding on to? What anxieties dictate your decisions? Is it recognition, endorsement, or authority? Identify these, confront them, then release your hold. Thirdly, by practicing full engagement in every activity, eating, walking, speaking, listening. Be completely present. Musashi believed every act was a form of training, even mundane tasks like sweeping or serving tea. Each action reflected one's mental state, and a tranquil mind imbued every act with potency. Fourthly, by confronting mortality, not with terror, but with reverence. Let it refine your focus, reminding you that your existence is finite and thus sacred. Every instant squandered in apprehension, triviality, or vanity is a moment lost. Musashi's existence perfectly illustrated this principle. He met his end as he had lived, composed, conscious, and without regret. When his hour arrived, he donned his full combat attire, assumed a meditative posture, placed his blade by his side, and welcomed death like an old acquaintance. Not out of a desire for it, but because he had already relinquished everything that instilled fear in ordinary mortals. That, ultimately, is the concluding lesson. Inner peace during adversity is not an act. It is who you fundamentally become. It stems from repeatedly facing your true self until only authenticity remains. Envision the power of such a life. No need for self-validation, no pursuit of approval, unswayed by fleeting emotions or others' judgments. Anchored, attentive, imperturbable. This is not a fanciful notion. It's a deliberate practice, a daily commitment to refine the intellect, master emotions, and move with clarity. Musashi's teachings aren't antiquated concepts. They are blueprints for enduring significance. In a world awash with distractions, anxiety, and clamor, His wisdom resonates like a silent blade. He beckons us back to our core, back to ourselves, back to the fundamental path. The world may never achieve tranquility, but you can. The world may perpetually challenge you, but you can face it with dignity. And when others descend into impulsive reactions, you remain composed. When panic grips others, you observe. When others clamor to be heard, you speak only when necessary, and each utterance carries weight because you have prepared. You have confronted your inner self. You have journeyed alongside mortality and discovered how to genuinely live. And that, above all, embodies the way of Musashi. Therefore, as you return to your daily existence, your work, your relationships, your ongoing struggles, remember this: you are perpetually in training. Every frustration reveals opportunities for growth. Every conflict offers a mirror for self-reflection. And in every breath, you are presented with a choice: react or respond, fear or presence, discord or clarity. Choose sagaciously. Choose with attentiveness. Choose with composure. For that is true triumph, and the journey never concludes. Thank you for your attention.